Hello and welcome back to the Done Deal YouTube channel. Today you join me in Sligo and we're here with the Kia Niro EV. Now this has got a 68.4 kilowatt hour battery and a claimed 460 kilometers. However, we know in the real world, in Ireland, in the cold conditions, this isn't really possible. So today I set out to see if I could drive from Dublin to here on one charge and see how efficient I can make it. And then I'm going to see how far I can get back, or if I can get back at all. Before we start, let's rewind back to this morning when I set sail for Sligo. Good morning. Bright and early from Dublin. So we're about to set sail. First thing we're going to do is see what our range is and see how much battery percentage we have. And then we're going to tackle this journey. So it's coming up here 336 kilometers, but if I click EV down here, I get to see that we've got 96% battery. So let's see how we go. And along the way, we'll talk about all the different efficiency saving things we can do. But I suppose for now, nothing better than popping it in gear, seatbelts on. We'll put on a good podcast and off we go. So an update from the Niro. We haven't got that far, but we are just out of Dublin. So I have to say I'm doing pretty well. I've been driving 80 kilometers per hour, which I felt was fine on the motorway, but now on the M4, when the speed limit's 120 kilometers per hour, I am probably going to have to increase that. But my consumption right now is 12.8 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which is pretty decent for motorway driving. Big thing to note about this journey, the forefront of it is all motorway, but later on we get on some back roads, and that's where the Niro EV will thrive. Although getting overtaken by trucks, it's a bit of an ego buster, but anyway, we'll crack on. Right now though, I have to say, I've travelled nearly 30 kilometers and I still have about 320 kilometer range. So I am definitely increasing that range, but we'll see how we go in a little while. So as we approach the 100 kilometer distance driven so far, it's a good time to talk about some of the things that affect efficiency. Now, a big one is you might see my windows around me are beginning to steam up a little bit, and that's because climate control and AC crucify your range. It's actually mental the difference it makes. So if you're driving an EV, you'll notice nearly all of them come with heated seats, heated steering wheel, and that's because those are a lot more efficient to use than the actual climate control itself. So that's tip number one. Another thing that I noticed is actually the difference in the driving mode. So I've obviously been driving in eco mode, but if I change to normal mode and then to sport mode, it reduces my range drastically. So it makes a big difference. Now, another huge factor is the outside air temperature. Today it's been somewhere between 15 and 17 degrees. That's okay. It's not a 25 degree summer day, but it's also not -1 on a winter's day. That would affect it by up to, and if not over, 10%. The motorway drive going 90 kilometers per hour did absolutely ruin my efficiency. I'm now at 14.3 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. The good news is we're nearly off the motorway. I'm back down to 80 kilometers per hour, and very soon we're going to be on some nice country roads where I think this will really begin to excel and hopefully keep that range going up, because I'd be interested to see if I can get home too. So we're just making our way through Carrick and Shannon now, and a couple more eco tips that definitely make a difference is windows up the whole time. In fact, what I've been doing is when I'm going through a town, I've been putting the windows down to kind of demist the car a little bit. Other things, I mean, the biggest one is your right foot. If you're harsh on the accelerator, you're going to absolutely ruin yourself. One thing I've been very clever of is, for example, now I've been kind of reading the road ahead of me, so slowing down long before I need to. That way I can use the regenerative braking and not actually use the real brakes. In fact, I haven't used the brakes on this whole drive because this is iPedal, which is staggering. I've done 160 kilometers and I haven't touched the brakes. Other things I've been doing, where possible, I've been using the racing line on roundabouts just to try and make sure that I maintain as much speed as possible, so I'm not slowing down and accelerating, because that's kind of damaging towards it. But so far so good. About a half an hour left, 50 kilometers. Be interesting to see what we're at there. And now I'm starting to think, maybe I'll try and get home. Probably a stupid idea. I might not, I'll see how we are. But it is kind of tempting. So the reason we've come here today was to review Volkswagen's new ID.5, and that review actually went live last week, and you can watch it by hitting the link up there. But now that I'm about to set sail back to Dublin, we're about to try and be really risky. Originally I wasn't really planning to do up and back, particularly because I only had a 330 kilometer range for what would be a 440 kilometer round trip, so it wasn't possible. However, I'm now getting this small bit of appetite to see how far I can push it. The key thing is, I could have charged up on any one of these chargers here, and I could have stopped on the way up and charged at an ESB charge point, but I'm ploughing on. So now I'm setting my destination for the Ionity charger in Kildare, because that's near enough to the M50, and most importantly I can actually then test how much it costs and how quick it is to charge, if I make it that far. We'll see how we go. So the price of the Niro EV is about 43,500 euros, and that is very good value, to be fair, because for that you're getting a car that's capable of over 400 kilometer range, that has every bell and whistle you could ever imagine. Heated, cooled seats, heated steering wheel, the seat's really comfortable, and even at that there's over 450 odd litres in the boot. There's a 3-pin socket in the back. It's just a very good car. Now, the only elephant in the room is, for 43,500 euros you'll get this, but for about 52 or 3,000 euros you'll get an EV6, and that's probably one of the best electric cars you can buy, particularly if you're financing it. To spend that extra 7, 8, 9,000 euros, personally, if you can afford it, I'd maybe say that, but that's not taking away anything from this. To drive, as I said, it's brilliant. One thing I do have to point out is the lane assist and the adaptive cruise control on this journey. Now granted, I haven't needed to slow down because of any cars in front of me, because I've been the slowest car on the road, but the lane assist is just absolutely fabulous. It always has been on Korean cars, and it's no different here in the Niro. Okay, fast forward a couple of hours and we are nearly there. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit worried earlier that maybe I would make it to the Ionity charger and for whatever reason it might not work and that I would be absolutely goosed. But luckily, I have actually some range left to spare, so I'll be able to make it home if the charger doesn't work. What I will say is, I've learned another eco tip. Cruise control, no bueno for when you're trying to actually be economical. If you go a little bit faster downhill and a little bit slower uphill and use your right foot to your advantage, it actually increases your efficiency quite a lot. But we're nearly there. My feet are cold because I haven't had the heating on. But once we arrive at the Ionity charger, we'll talk about the whole experience, from how much it costs, how fast it is to charge, and then we'll wrap up the video. But we're nearly there. And just like that, we have made it. 53 kilometers left. Now, let's just talk about quickly some of the stats. So we've done 419 kilometers. This morning, it told me that I would get 330. So we've added well over 100 kilometers. I'm actually staggered at how much driver input, speed, all these things play a role. What's more is we still have 14% left of our battery, and theoretically I could go another 53 kilometers. I don't fancy finding out what happens if you run out there. But anyway, I'm going to charge this up quickly, but I've spent about nearly 7 hours in the sea today. I probably only need to spend 5.5 if I'd driven the speed limit. But it's all in the interest of figuring out these things. So let's plug this in. That whole process, by the way, is super easy. So you just open up your app, set on the charger, plug it in, and then off you go, you're charging. Okay, so currently the charge, it's not that fast, but I think it can do with the state of the battery. So when it's quite low, I think it takes a little bit of time at the start, and then about halfway through it should speed up. But right now it's saying 2 hours and 10 minutes, which I'm not gonna lie, a bit disappointing. I would have just gone home. But anyway, let's just touch base. I'm only gonna stay here for 40 minutes at most. So we'll see what we get in 40 minutes and then we'll call it a day. Okay, so that is charged. So let's see, we'll go onto our app. I will screen record this so you can see it at the same time as me. So go on to Ionity and we have a receipt. I have to say the whole process on Ionity is great. It's just a little bit expensive. So if I go to my charging history, I can see that today I was here for 50 minutes. I charged 45 kilowatt hours. It cost me €31. That's pretty expensive, but my range is now up to 304 kilometers. So basically it cost me about €30 for about 200 and something kilometers. It's expensive. I'm not trying to defend it here, but what I will say is it is very, very good. It works, it's fast, relatively fast anyway, and it's pretty reliable. Anyway, I'm gonna get on the road really quick and then they're gonna finish out this video. All right, I'm about to do something that I've yet to do in this Niro EV. And I'm gonna put the foot down. Yeah, it's pretty quick. It's actually really quick. I'm not gonna lie, that's been the most boring / interesting driving I've ever done in my whole life. I wanted to just give up so many times because you're literally sitting there at 70 kilometers per hour, but it was brilliant. I learned a lot, and what I have to say is it is staggering how efficient a car can be when it needs to be. And now I'm thinking I'm going to do this with a diesel car just to see how much, like how high can I get my MPGs. Anyway, another big thing about it is I've grown a weird connection. Along the way, I phoned a few friends, a few family members, and I was just telling them how great this car is. And they all seemed to not really care too much. But for me, I've grown a little bit of a bond, and it's reminded me of my own car, which is a very old and somewhat potentially not that reliable car. And when I drive it a long distance and it makes it home, I always go, good job, Nissan 350Z. And when I get home tonight with this full charge, I'm gonna get home and I'm gonna say, good job, Kia. And I think that's kind of, you can see I'm kind of smiling. I'm a bit weird, I understand. But anyway, long story short, it is possible to drive these on long journeys. And the truth is, I drove past a good few ESB fast chargers, 2 or 3. I drove past various other fast chargers. I just opted to not use them in the experiment, and it was completely worth it. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see more videos like this, then please make sure to subscribe and let us know what cars you'd like to see us review or have on the channel in the near future. That's it from now. I'm going to turn on the heating. I'm going to go home at the speed limit and I'm going to just enjoy it. But yeah, long story short, today we achieved well over 430-40 kilometers on a single charge. Cheers for watching.